boxing truth here. I wanted to elaborate a little bit about Mikey Garcia's situation that I talked about a little bit in my last Errol Spence video about him turning down Miguel Cotto. Like Spence, with Mikey Garcia, they were both offered that fight, but they had to sign a promotional agreement with Golden Boy to get that fight. And as you can see, those fights are not happening because neither of those guys are willing to sign promotional agreements. At least their teams weren't. Well, Mikey was well aware of what was going on. He's no longer being represented by a promoter. He's pretty much represented by Heyman. He's advised by Al Heyman at least. So he was aware of what he had to do to get the Cotto fight. So Golden Boy called his bluff. They wanted to sign him to a promotional agreement. He decided not to do that for whatever reason. He feels he's better off on his own. He has leverage. He's a world champion. He's in position for a big fight in his own weight class. And I wanted to elaborate on why he did what he did. Because it wasn't the most accurate information. When it came to Errol Spence, he had to sign a promotional agreement, and Mikey Garcia as well, to get the Cotto fight. But when it comes to Jorge Linares, the fight he's holding out for, that's the situation here. Mikey's in a situation to get a big fight without having to sign with a promoter, only because the WBC, which I forgot to mention in the Errol Spence video, the WBC ordered a fight between Mikey Garcia and Jorge Linares. So that's one of the very few ways you could get a big fight, is if one of the sanctioning bodies enforces it, and you're the mandatory or you're a champion, and the sanctioning body orders a fight. That means you guys have to fight, or you have to vacate a strap, or be considered a ducker by the boxing public if you don't take the fight. So that's what Mikey Garcia is holding out hope for. He didn't want to sign with Golden Boy to get the Cotto fight. He wanted to fight Cotto, was willing to fight in December, wasn't willing to do more than just a one-fight deal with Golden Boy. So he decided not to take that fight, in hopes of getting Jorge Linares, which he's in position to get that fight. The WBC has ordered it, so Golden Boy are forced to negotiate with Mikey. And Mikey doesn't have to commit to a long-term deal or further commitment, doesn't have to commit to options. This is practically a one-off since the sanctioning body ordered it. And Linares is the WBC Diamond Champion, and Mikey's the WBC World Champion. And the WBC, they want to see this fight, so they have mandated this fight, and they have Linares as the mandatory to Mikey Garcia. So in the convention, their handlers had told WBC, informed them that there are preliminary discussions. But Mikey is he's holding out hope for this fight. He's hopeful it could get made, but he realizes that Golden Boy may not take the fight, since Golden Boy's stable is not as strong as, say, compared to Heyman. They have Canelo, they have Jorge Linares, they have David Lemieux, they have Saddam Ali, they have Joseph Diaz, they lost Luis Ortiz, they lost Leo Santa Cruz, a whole bunch of other fighters during that lawsuit with Heyman. So they're not the most strongest promotional stable right now. So they have to be a little careful with some fights that they make. But they've been willing to pull the trigger, I mean, with some of their clients, especially with Canelo. Because Canelo's an A-level fighter. He doesn't need protection, man. He can drop these chumps. Maybe even drop Golovkin rematch. Canelo's a great fighter. Proved it on September 16th. So they don't have to worry about him. He has pound for pound level talent, but doesn't have great whiskers, doesn't have great durability. He's riding high right now. He's making, since he's featured on HBO. He's a world champion. He's fully rehabilitated. He's got his confidence back, and it showed his maturity in the Luke Campbell fight. He didn't get dropped. He didn't get cut. It was a tough fight, a tough style, and I was pleased with the growth Jorge Linares showed in that fight. But against Mikey Garcia, this is a really tall order for Jorge Linares. Even though he's riding high, he's very confident, wants to fight. I'm not so sure Golden Boy is as confident as Jorge Linares, and therefore they possibly will. They might stay away from this fight. They might not go with the order of the WBC. They'll just put Jorge Linares in a different direction. I hope that doesn't happen. But the thing is, it's a big risky fight. And because it's mandated by the sanctioning body, Mikey Garcia doesn't have to commit to Golden Boy much longer. So Mikey is still looking to fight in December. They're trying to do a unification with Robert Easter since Linares is unavailable for December. But he will be available for some time in the spring. So Mikey's going to take another fight in between, hopefully. I wouldn't mind seeing a unification with Robert Easter. Keep Mikey busy, keep a third fight this year. And if he beats Easter, unifies, he makes a very strong case for being Fighter of the Year in 2017. Very strong case. I mean, 2 straps, knockout wins, a dominant performance over a named fighter, and a unification. Very strong case for Fighter of the Year. But that's why the Cotto fight is not happening for a number of Haymon clients. Mikey, Danny Garcia, Errol Spence, they had to sign a promotional agreement to take the fight. They all didn't. Haymon said nah. So therefore, some of these guys, especially Spence, I mean, that would have been a good fight for him. I'm not saying he would have steamrolled Cotto. I mean, Cotto's an experienced veteran, can punch, but it was a winnable fight. And for a world title at 54, he could have easily went back down to welterweight. I mean, this is prize fighting. It's about the biggest, best fights, the fights that are best for your career. And Mikey was willing to take the fight, but only as a one-off, which wasn't available in that situation. But the Linares fight is possible if Golden Boy lets the fight happen. It's in their hands, but they have to take a big risk and hope and pray that Linares can beat Mikey Garcia. And he won't be the favorite in that fight. He will be a significant underdog, not a huge underdog, but Linares has to fight the fight of his life to win that fight against Mikey Garcia. I really hope it happens, but you can understand why it might not happen, and maybe Mikey will lose out on the big fights and just end up with a unification with Robert Easter, which is a good fight, but nowhere near as glamorous and as big as a Miguel Cotto fight and a Jorge Linares fight. But Mikey wants to be only advised by Al Haymon. He doesn't want to be no longer want to be with a promoter because of the experience he's had with Top Rank. But just wanted to elaborate further on Mikey Garcia's situation. It was different from Errol Spence when it came to well, it was the same when it came to a Cotto fight, but Mikey had another option that is possible, but that also may not be on the table as well. But we'll see what happens for Mikey. Will he get that big fight in the lightweight division? At least unification with Robert Easter is the best he could do. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.